XR News Med Health Edition. I am so excited about today. I can't stand it. I can't stand it. So I want to let you know, my name is Laurel. I'm the director and co-founder of Educators in VR and the producer of the XR News, the Educators in VR XR News. We are now doing a weekly format again. So excited. Here's how it works. On the first Wednesday of the month, we have the XR News Med Health Edition with the amazing Rachel D as our host. And then on the second and the fourth weeks of the month, we'll have our regular XR News where we bring you the news from across the metaverse that you can use. And we have a special guest lined up for that as well. And then on the third Wednesday of the month, we have the XR News Innovation Spotlight with Chris Mattson, Maxwell McGee, and Dr. Tom Furness, blowing our minds about all the things past, present, and future for immersive education, XR industry news, highlights, guests. I never know what they're going to do. So we're going. Last time they blew our brains, just totally blew our minds. We could not believe. Stunned, gobsmack, I have no words. And so get ready for this month. They say they're going to do even more. I don't know how they're going to keep it up, but we shall see. But today is the Med Health edition of XR News with the incredible Rachel D is our host. So Rachel D, come on up here. And we have, she's going to introduce our incredible special guest who's like part of the family. Absolutely love is Jeremy Nichols, but before we get there, I'm going to go into just a few details. I forgot. I got things out of schedule. So Rachel is on the first Wednesday of the month. I want to just reiterate, we have the XR News Innovation Spotlight, where anything can happen. Don't miss it. All of these are on Wednesday. And then last week, our XR News show had special guests Nico and Shushu of VRM or Vroom, whichever one you want to pronounce. And Jeremy has worked with these two in his world building and the amazing projects that he's done. So you can find the video of that on our YouTube channel. And we have it also linked on all of our social media channels, so you can keep up with the news. Most of our news links and things are shared on our Discord, but you can, we're going to start sharing them across all of our different social media platforms. So you can track all our news shows, past shows, et cetera, on our social media. I also want to give a great deal of thanks and appreciation to our incredible sponsors and our partners that keep us going. I'm not going to go through the list. They're up here on the screen, but without these amazing, amazing people and the companies, we could not be doing this, and we could not be doing it without you. So thank you all for being here. All right, now Jeremy Nichols is here with the amazing Rachel D. So Rachel, all you, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Hey, can we get the button to take away? Thank you, Tessa. Is there? Yeah, come on down, Jeremy. And they're going to take this big button away so we can take a seat. Thank you again so much for coming. Can you guys still see the button?
No.
Most people can't see the button. Some people can see the button. So if you can see the button, sorry, re-enter. But Rachel, if you can work around it, the button's down.
Okay, cool.
It's gone.
All right, so let's just take a seat, Jeremy. There you go. Thank you. Sorry about that, everybody. You know, VR is always fun and tricky. So it is with a great pleasure that I get to introduce a friend and somebody who helped me get personally into VR, Jeremy Nickel. He is the founder of EvolVR and a VP of Community and Live Events at TRIPP Incorporated. So let's dive deep in the power of XR and connection and the healing and the transformation that takes place with here in VR. From building the first large-scale VR meditation community to shaping the future of XR wellness, Jeremy's journey scans an inspiring reminder that technology can nurture the human spirit. So yeah, thank you, Jeremy. I really appreciate you coming here today.
As Laurel said, oh, I'm unmuted now. Maybe I wasn't at first. Good to be here with you all. It's just a pleasure. You know, as Laurel was saying, you know, this was home, and a lot of these faces are just beautifully familiar, and you know, walked with me through some really exciting times. So I love being here. This is awesome. And it looks like you're muted now, but I'm not. Yes.
Today's that day. I'm so glad he's a long-term friend. So Jeremy, how was it for you, and how did it get involved with you creating a mindfulness community within VR?
You know, I've always, there's like two main strands that have kind of followed through all the things I've done, and at least professionally, and they've been a deep love of spirituality and spiritual community and walking with people as they kind of grow and transform. And then the other one is technology. You know, my dad, who you know well and Laurel knows well, is someone who was always playing with tech. When I was growing up in the 80s, him and my mom helped run a video company. And then in the 90s, they started a computer company. And so I was always playing with tech and looking for ways to, you know, like there was some stupid idea that science and religion don't go together. And I think like actually, you know, that's completely false. Like it's all just about people trying to talk about the same stuff and maybe using different words and different language. But always looking for places to bring those together. So I was an ordained minister. I was leading a Unitarian Universalist congregation for about 10 years in the Bay Area. Super liberal, you know, the Unitarian Universalist, for those who don't know, like atheist, agnostic, welcome. Christian, welcome. Buddhist, welcome. Freethinker, welcome. Whoever you are, you know, it's a very welcoming community. Pagans and, you know, whatever. We just want to be together and kind of celebrate life. And so I led this congregation for about 10 years in the Bay Area, but really missed doing tech stuff. And so around 2016, my brother-in-law, who's also a tech guy, he helped make Bejeweled, which probably a few people have played, and Plants vs. Zombies and some other classic games. He was getting into VR, and he needed someone in San Jose to host meetings for him where we'd get people into the VR equipment, and then he would actually lead a meeting with them from Seattle. And that sounds like the most obvious, easy thing to everyone in this room right now, but this was 2016. It was not easy at all. It was all prototype beta stuff. And so me and my dad hosted those meetings down in this little funny boardroom on the peninsula there in the Bay Area. And I was like, holy smokes. I don't know if I can swear on this show, so I'll keep it PG. My mind was absolutely blown that like VR was actually happening in this way that seemed pretty close to accessible to a lot of people. And the thing that I heard over and over again, the term I heard people say, so like these like stodgy board member people would come in. It was all like, he was trying to raise money, so it was a bunch of like rich dudes. And before I would hear them talking to each other, and they'd be like, oh, I've been to this VR meeting like 15 times in the last 20 years and it's never ready. And then we get them in. We were using an early HTC product. I can't remember exactly what headset we were using, but you know, it had all the base stations around. It was clunky, but it worked. And they'd suddenly be like throwing a football with my brother-in-law up in Seattle, and they'd be like, oh my God, like this is ready. And then when they'd get out of the headsets, they'd all say, it was like I was with them. Every single person would say that. It was like I was there with them. And that's, again, sounds so obvious to everyone who's hearing this right now. Like, you know how much it feels like we're all together in VR. That was not obvious at the time. And I had to hear it a whole bunch of times. But eventually I was like, people feel like they're together in VR. And like, that's the basis for spiritual community. You can't do good spiritual community on Zoom because it's just a bunch of people looking at each other on a screen. Like, you need to feel like you're with people. And when you're in VR, like, to me, the human body on Earth is an illusion. And so like, this is just another basis of that illusion. Like, okay, I've got a body here. I'm here. I believe it. I see, you know, Delcine and Edward and Rachel, and we're together in this space. And so that's when I realized I wanted to do something community-based in VR. That was a long way to answer your question.
No, I think it's beautiful. I've known you for such a long time, and you actually helped get me into VR, and we actually even met in real life once. So that's so
you
beautiful
have been
thing.
in my office. Yeah.
I
in my house.
have.
Yeah.
I have. And so it's just such a beautiful community. And it's definitely one of the reasons why I personally kept coming back to VR. At that time, I was going through COVID.
Yep.
So when you were creating EvolVR, did you have like a grand plan? Were you just kind of bringing everybody together? How did that come to fruition?
It was really just, it started with, I found my way to AltSpace just after AltSpace launched and just messing around there. And I just thought, you know, the easiest spiritual teaching is meditation because it's just, it's very accessible to all people. Most people know mental health wise, it would be a good thing for them to meditate. It's not as loaded as saying like, let's come to pray together, you know, like that's going to freak out a lot of people. But if you say like, hey, let's meditate together, most people, whether they're spiritual or not, they're going to be open to that. So I thought I'm just going to start leading. And so I should say, you know, there were some early people making AltSpace happen, like Schmid Tech, who some of you know, like I know Laurel knows, who was just like an absolute superstar for me from the beginning, where like we're going to see some spaces later. Well, this is a later one, but our first space ever was just the repurposed AltSpace VR. They had a Attack of the Kraken world. It was like one of their first. And it had these funny monsters out in the water, but it had this beautiful space in the middle. So he let us use that for meditation. And yeah, so we just started. That was it. That was the whole thing at the beginning. Like, let's see if we can get people together live in VR meditating. No grand plan, but people really liked it. And so we just kind of kept growing it from there.
No, that's great. And I came in on the Evolver VR group, and it was so surprising to me. And since we were in AltSpace, I rarely left AltSpace. I was just solely in that app because I felt safe and protected.
Totally.
Yeah. And so what made the jump going from Evolver to TRIPP?
I mean, there's a lot there. You know, so we were kind of slowly growing at first. And then when, you know, really the year before COVID, we started to really pick up momentum. We started having more and more events. I started hiring people and having you know, we had a Patreon that was supporting it. Like people were actually paying to come to these events and support the community. And I was able to hire, you know, teachers and grow it. And then COVID hit, and it was just like the most perfect match for COVID because people were lonely and they were anxious, and we could bring them together for social experiences, and we could, you know, help them feel less anxious with meditation. So we started adding more stuff like yoga and, you know, dance. We had some dance parties during COVID that were just epic. I mean, hundreds, if not thousands of people coming through. You know, we had all kinds of different DJs playing. We had some sick places. I had hired Alan at that point to start building our spaces, and Alan is just a genius. Alan Chow, for those who know him, you know, built so many of our early and later amazing spaces. And so it was going gangbusters, but the Patreon was good. People were helping, but it wasn't going to get us to the next level. And I really wanted it to just keep growing and become, you know, something that could really sustain and, you know, outlive my ability to lead it, you know? And so sometime in the COVID pandemic, a whole bunch of the TRIPP leadership ended up, because we were doing Burning Man parties too. Like we were hosting the dance parties with Burning Man, and a lot of the early TRIPP team are burners. And so they ended up at a bunch of our parties, and we started talking. And Nenea, who's the CEO of TRIPP, ended up talking to Kaylin, who, for those who are in EvolVR, is just a beautiful member of the community, and one of those people who's like, if you had to have someone as an accidental ambassador of your community, you'd probably pick her anyways. And so she ended up being the person that Nenea ran into and was like, oh my God, you got to know more about EvolVR. You got to meet Jeremy. And you know, Nenea heard that a couple times. So we got together, and she just said, like, you know, TRIPP is growing like crazy. You know, we're doing all this great meditation content and moving into some other wellness stuff. We don't have any live events, you know, like, would you want to come on the team and try to bring it? And it just seemed like one of those chocolate and peanut butter kind of moments where, you know, two great things could maybe be better together. And so, yeah, so they acquired us. We became a part of the TRIPP team. EvolVR became together with TRIPP, and I'm still there doing that work. Social VR hasn't quite gone the direction we envisioned it in that moment. We thought there'd be a lot more rapid adoption. But we're still hanging on and trying to believe in that and hope that we're just, a couple more innovations away from that real mainstream adoption. And as educators in VR know, I mean, educators has been around as long as EvolVR, if not longer. I can't remember the timing of it all, but we're one of those original communities from alt space that's kept living and growing, and obviously educators has found a great home in Engage. It's like the perfect another chocolate peanut butter kind of combo there. So it's cool to see like how some of those groups have been able to keep figuring it out, and obviously this is one of the best examples right here.
Thank you. I really love working with educators in VR. It's definitely been a great place to land for me. So we're looking at all these slides, and it's just so wonderful because I'm seeing people I remember the logo. Can you tell us something specific, particular about this one?
So I think this is one of the things when we were really booming, we were doing was these monthly gatherings called The Gathering, and each month Alan would design a special world for that gathering, and it would have like a spiritual concept behind it. Like we're going to talk about being together, or we're going to talk about, heartbreak, or we're going to talk about, whatever our theme is, mindfulness. And Alan would design some incredible world that would like help us step deeper into that concept. And so, I think, I don't remember exactly which one that was, but when I was looking through pictures, getting stuff ready for you, this is the first overview effect. So overview effect was one of the like most central, I think, events that we did where my father was really good friends with the guy who wrote the book called The Overview Effect, which is all about this incredible experience people have, astronauts, cosmonauts, anyone who goes up to outer space and looks down on the Earth, their brain is like permanently rewired to just be more connected and compassionate. And so we were trying to simulate that with virtual reality. So that experience started in a small area where it looked like you were all on the surface of planet Earth together. And then the real neat innovation of it was these walls that came in and out, as you can see in here. And every time the walls came in, you were back kind of enclosed together. And when they came out, boom, you were further and further up, higher above planet Earth. So by like the third or fourth one, you were then in outer space looking down at the Earth. And you kind of made this transition with, a big group of people. And at the beginning of the experience, everyone, introduces themselves and says like, I'm from Alabama, I'm from Tennessee, I'm from California, or people all over the world. We had people from all over Germany, a lot of Germans and French people and Australians. And so you'd get this feeling that you were looking down at planet Earth from above with like people from around the world too. And then we'd end it with this beautiful meditation of loving kindness and kind of try to rain that love down on the Earth. So that was a neat one. And yeah, it was all controlled by this watch. That was how the walls came in and out. And it looks so clunky now, but like that was so state of the art. We could not believe we had that watch to do it with. And then we, in the introduction, Laurel was talking about Shushu and Nico, who are geniuses and just never stop blowing my mind. We hired them when I came to TRIPP. We were like, we love this idea of the overview effect. We want to take it to the next step. And so they built an overview effect for us in VR chat that is, I still think, the best VR project I've been involved with personally. It's just really moving and a deep experience. So anyone who's listening, I love Engage. You should spend so much time here in Engage, but at some point jump over to VR chat also and look up the overview effect. And there's a version of it that you can run by yourself. It's stunning. So check that out. And yeah, this is how it ends with all of it, everyone around this really beautiful, very realistic planet Earth. And our meditation on loving kindness really went into the Earth. And then you can see it here like shooting out. And, so it was beautiful. Still is.
Right. I actually went to the VR chat version of the overview effect. It's only a few minutes. So I definitely ask you guys to check it out. It's the work of art. And I love the cadence of it. The entire experience is it is what VR, I think, is really all about.
it's just a perfect use of VR. And the person who's narrating it, his name is Frank White, and he is the author of the book by the same name, The Overview Effect. He coined the term and has interviewed hundreds of astronauts from all different space programs, and they all say the same thing, you know, like they are deeply transformed by that experience. So yeah, hope you can all check it out. It's a good one.
So with yeah, it's like one of my favorites. So with all this experience with XR VR, what's one thing along your journey, because it's been longer than most, what's been the most surprising?
I mean, the surprising on the bad side is just that it hasn't become more mainstream adopted, you know, so like I feel like I've
Agreed.
been saying it's 2 or 3 years away for like 8 years or 9 years or so, you know. And I kind of understand why that is the case also, but you know, that's frustrating. So I'd say that's my sad answer. The happy answer, surprising, is just like how much people have still quietly been building incredible experiences, and like what actually is in VR right now is amazing. Like it really is.
Hmm.
I think it's still just like there's enough people who don't want to put a headset on that is so, you know, it's come a long way. To me, it's small and sleek and amazing, but to someone who hasn't seen where it came from, they're still like, I don't want to put that thing on my face, you know. So you know, we're getting there. I think the Ray-Ban stuff, like trying to get into AR and really see what more traditional glasses can do, and you know, I'm still bullish on this stuff. I think there's a bright future
Hmm.
here, and so I think people like Laurel, like I just love that this is still happening, and the Engage and this partnership with educators is still happening, because when it all blows up, this is going to be the centerpiece for that, you know. So it's good stuff.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And one of the things that I get to do throughout my career, and I think with you for XR VR, is you get to actually take people into VR for the first time. What
Love
is
it.
something that I know it's one of my favorite things.
Yep.
What's one of those things that you're always blown away by? That there's always that feeling for me. I know what it is now, but it took me a while to figure it out.
You mean like what experiences in VR still blow my mind?
No,
Or
like
what do
when
I
you're
use to
onboarding
show people?
somebody.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it depends. Like I'll do different things depending on like who I'm onboarding. So like, you know,
Hmm.
I like to put people in active stuff if they're up for that. But one of the TRIPP experiences that we have, well, there's two things in TRIPP that I put people in a lot. And I know I'm shamelessly name dropping our own stuff now, but I really do use this for onboarding a lot because it's so amazing.
Hmm.
For people who don't know who Ram Dass is, he was a Harvard professor in the 60s who
Mm.
introduced both LSD and meditation to a lot of Western people, Americans. And he became a very renowned meditation teacher. And so we worked with the Ram Dass Foundation. He's since passed away. We worked with the Ram Dass Foundation to take one of his teachings. It's really a story of the first time he takes psychedelic mushrooms and has this incredible aha moment about his meditation. And he talks about it, and you start in his study, and he's talking about it kind of intellectually, and then like
Hmm.
when he starts talking about psilocybin, all the walls start to like wiggle a little bit, and the couch starts to move a little bit, and you're like, what's going on here? And then like it all just keeps evolving into like you join him in that psychedelic experience, like you fall through the wall into this crazy mandala, and oh, it gets amazing from there. So that's called Journey, and it's on the TRIPP app. And if I think someone can handle it, that is where I start them, because it blows
Hmm.
people's minds. It's deep. It has meaning and content that you can really chew on for a long time, and also is just visually stunning. Um, and then we have this new Kokua AI experience in the TRIPP app, where you talk to an AI
Hmm.
meditation assistant named Kokua. Our founder, Nanea Reeves, is Hawaiian, and Kokua is the Hawaiian word that means kind of like help and support. And so this agent like gets to know you and understand where you are right now, and then builds a meditation to help shift you to where you want to be. And it makes that meditation for you in like 2 seconds. And then suddenly it's just kind of giving you this personal meditation. So I think that is another one that just absolutely blows people's minds. And the overview effect in VR chat, I
Hmm.
mean, that's another one that, like, if I have the right person, that is the first place I'll go as well. I also just like world hopping, to new places. And so if I think I have someone like a younger person, Beat Saber, obviously, but I'll also take them into VR chat and be like, let's just pick some worlds and hop around and like meet some people. And it can get crazy, some people don't like that, but with the right people, it can be fun too.
Oh yeah, there's so many different ways to have those experiences, and I agree. When I'm teaching a child, or if I'm bringing on, a retired adult, it's definitely, some of them I'm taking into like serene 360 videos through Wander, and then sometimes I have children, and I'm like, we do the escape room here and Engaged. There's so many opportunities in different ways, and I just like seeing the awe, like when they take off that headset and they're like, I had no idea this existed. And to be honest with you, that's one of the reasons why I like to have this particular position, is because I want to get to know what people are doing in the medical health field with VR. I mean, there's so many innovations and super smart people we get to work with. It is mind-blowing, to say the least.
Yeah, that's true.
So
it's awesome to be in the conversation.
Oh yeah, to be included.
Yeah,
mind blown. So with TRIPP, I know that you guys are using AI, and that is a really hot topic for us here in Educators VR. So how do you think AI has really helped TRIPP move forward in the medical healthcare field with VR XR?
Here's the thing that people do and don't want to hear, depending on where they stand on this whole thing. People are, so number one, when people come into virtual reality and they have an avatar that they create, they start to be more real than they are in real life very quickly. As you know, I know you know that, Rachel. When we had small groups in EvolVR, people would share really deep stuff that they maybe hadn't even told their partner. You multiply that times 10 with how honest people are to our AI agent. It's incredible. And so, like, I have a lot of friends who are therapists who are freaked out by that. I'm like, don't worry, there's always rich people who are going to want to talk to a human. But actually, AI might be better, and it's so much more accessible, and maybe that's good too. So I think, there's so much to say about guardrails and how it can be imperfect, of course, but when the right people use AI, it is a very powerful tool, and it can be used for transformation. It can be used for amazingly good stuff. So people have really beautiful conversations with Kokua, people, and I don't know that because we randomize, we don't know what people say to it, but when I demo people, I hear what they say, I talk to my friends about it, I know how I am. People confess to us all the time, like, oh my God, I'm able to say things to it I hadn't been able to articulate to a human yet. So there's that, like, Linnea is not afraid to innovate and go in new directions. And at some point when she was maybe frustrated with the lack of growth from VR, she said, like, we need to double down on this AI stuff because it's amazing. And I think she's totally right about that. And I think as we can continue to allow people to personalize their experience with TRIPP, it'll just be a more valuable tool for them. And every time people do use our Kokua app, it's learning. Every single trip helps us understand better people who are in X place when they come in here and want to be in Y place when they leave. Like, this is the best way for us to help them shift that mood. So I think that's a big part of the answer. That's where a lot of the interest for us and growth and innovation is coming from. How can we use this technology for good to help people have conversations that they can't have otherwise, to find mood shifts that they can't find otherwise?
Yeah, and that's one of the things I really enjoy about the TRIPP app, is because it keeps track of my moods, and so it can tell, this is what's working, this is what's not working. I don't use the app as much as I did at one time, but I love it that I can go in, I can personalize it, I can add pictures using the AI Kokua. She's just been super helpful, and I never thought about being 10 times more honest with AI, but 100%.
And the other thing you may not know is, if you have a TRIPP subscription, then you on VR, you also have one on your mobile app. We have a mobile app that's got all that. Kokua's on there. There's tons of meditations, and so, like, we love it when people are in VR. That's our most powerful delivery method, but it is also an incredible thing to have in your pocket whenever you want it.
Yeah, I use it for sleep because I get overstimulated with a headset on at night. So
Totally.
I like to go to the sleep part of the trip, and then I just
Yes.
I put it like an eye pillow on and just zen out till I sleep.
I have been so surprised by how popular our sleep category is. We have it both in VR and on the mobile app, and it is one of our most popular categories every week when I look. And even in VR, we worked with sleep experts, so you go into these like spaces where we've taken out all the color and sound that kind of stimulate you, and do this just super mellow meditation, and then you're supposed to take off the headset and go to bed, and people freaking love it.
Oh, I'll have to
So,
try that then, because
yeah.
I've had the TRIPP app since we became involved with it, and
Right.
so I'm sure there's just lots of new things I haven't really seen yet.
Always adding new stuff there. Yeah, sleep category is fascinating.
Oh yeah. So looking forward with all the experience that you have and all these adventures is what I kind of more than experiences. What are you looking forward to in the future?
Yeah, so in the last year, as you know, I've been retraining. So I am an ordained minister, as I said before. And so I found a program that if you have a master's in counseling, or you're a doctor, or had done pastoral care as a minister, you could do 1 year with them and become a psychedelic assisted therapist. So I live in Boulder,
Wow.
Colorado. And in the state of Colorado, we legalized psilocybin for both personal and for therapeutic uses. But you have to be trained as a licensed natural medicine facilitator to actually lead legal psilocybin journeys. So I've been on the path this year to be trained as a natural medicine facilitator here in Colorado. I'll be done with all my qualifications sometime the end of July, maybe early August. So I'm really interested in innovative uses of technology to help that field. And there's an app for preparation and integration of psychedelic assisted therapy that I'm working on as my next chapter. I'm still with TRIPP, and I'm also starting this new project with their blessing, specifically working on technologies to help that field. So that's really what kind of has me on fire these days. And I've been really deep in that program since September.
Oh, no, that sounds super exciting. I'm going to ask one more question, but I want the audience to get ready to ask a few questions on their own. And Jeremy, you'll have to help me with that because I still see the big button.
Oh, yeah, sure. Great.
Yeah, thank you so much. Now, if you could create anything in VR besides your new project, or someone else could create it, anything else, and it's just something maybe that you could use, or something that you think it just would be good for the well-being in general. Oh, excuse me. If you could wave that magic wand and anything can be created, what do you think would be the next latest greatest thing for all?
I've seen some stuff like this, but this is the first thing that came to my mind. Especially, I'd want to work with Shushu and Nico on it, and it would be an exploration of death and near-death experiences. It's another one of those topics that people are really afraid to touch, and I think Western society has done this terrible disservice to us by making death kind of like this taboo, scary thing when like all of us are going to frickin' experience it. It's something that is coming for us all and all our loved ones. And so I would love to work with amazing artists, to kind of create situations where you could experience, there's a lot of descriptions of people who've had near-death experiences of what they saw. And I think one of the things we find in psychedelic assisted therapy is people can experience basically their own death in their mind and really kind of transcend that. So anyways, I would love to use that material and try to just draw more people out, and it's like father like son. That's like my dad's obsessive topic these days. As anyone who knows him knows, he's a death doula among many other things, and so he has done a great death class in virtual reality that he's built himself. But as he would readily admit, he's not Nico and Shushu in terms of VR world design. Those two are like the Van Goghs of our time or whatever. And so to work with them to create something like that would be a dream.
Oh yeah, and then not at all. Well, I go to your dad's events. Tom Nickel, he has like a death Q&A, and then he also has Saying Goodbye, which I found so helpful for different parts of my life. And like sometimes I'll just go to see Tom, your dad, and then I think I have nothing to say, and then somebody has said something and it triggers, and by the end of it, I'm crying, either happy or sad or
Right.
something.
Those events were supposed to be like short term for COVID, and then it was like actually, COVID made it obvious, but like people need those events every week, always.
Oh,
So
yeah, it showed me some of the power of VR, because again, when I was first introduced to it, I just saw it as people playing games. I never saw like the realness and the community part of it. And you definitely specifically have helped me appreciate, the community aspect of it all. So thank you.
That's
there's
awesome.
plenty of times I thank you and you don't even know it.
Well, that's wonderful to hear. And that is, I mean, like I said at the very beginning, the magic of VR is like we are together, and if that's not the basis for community, I don't know what is. So yeah, keep pushing it forward, and it's just awesome to see.
Yeah, no, thank you. And again, myself, so many other people here are so thankful that we're all pushing through this together and we're just trying to figure it out and have
That's
fun.
the thing, is you got to find like a crew to do this with, because there's no one person who can do all the different things that need to be done to make it happen. So yeah, that's one of the great things about educators in VR, is that this just like become this whole community of people who can help support each other and making amazing things happen. That's ideal.
Oh yeah, anytime I have some kind of networking or technical issue, I'm usually like the Kevin Bacon, except for it's like it's one or two people away from knowing technology, how to do something, or figuring out how to connect people. So, all right. Does anybody out here in the audience have any questions or any feedback for Jeremy? I think I see Edward. Did you want to take a shot, Edward?
Yes. Hi, Jeremy. I was wondering,
Hey,
I always enjoyed your, hi, nice to see you. I was always wondering, I always enjoyed your gathering in Outspace, the community and the events. That was one of my favorite things. And I was just wondering, is there anything in the future for another gathering, or is that in the past?
You sure make me want to bring it back into the present. It's been hard. I think the thing that got me was, it took a lot of resources to make that happen, because we had such a grand vision for what it had to be, a new world based on this theme each time. And it became just too much for me and Alan to hold every month. And so I think it was one of those things where like our ambitions got so high that we just like crumbled to zero, So I would love to figure out a way that we could do it in a more sustainable way again, where it, just had, even if we just did it, once every couple of months or something. So I would certainly say it was the best thing I felt like I was ever a part of in VR. And if there was something that I could, another good answer to when I said making that death world would be, getting a regular cadence of the gathering going again would be awesome too. So I appreciate you lighting that fire for me.
Yeah, and also for you said that Death World, would that be a separate app that people can purchase and just go in there and explore?
I was just spitballing. I don't know. I always love I always love building stuff in VR chat or somewhere where it can be accessible. Like my goal is never to have like a gate around the worlds, like so I would try to do it in whenever was the most accessible way for it to be used by as many people as possible.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I have a question just to piggyback on that. When is the next time, or how often do you guys offer the full effect in the VR?
Oh, the overview effect? We don't have a regular overview effect going, but I've been talking about relaunching that as well. Right now, we just have 3 weekly events. Kiyoki's doing 2, and Daniel's doing 1. The other name that just reminds me that I wanted to mention here that I know some people, were really a part of was, Daniel Dabosky Bryant, like in terms of the people who along the way were encouraging and helpful and amazing. And I know obviously he was a big part of educators, and he was a session leader for us for a time. And God, just like one of those people who, if you knew him, you loved him so much and could feel his absolute passion for VR and for education and for connecting people. So I when I was thinking about what I was going to say here earlier, I was like, don't forget about Daniel. Like I can't tell the story without that guy. And so love you, man, wherever you are. And I know you're probably here with us somehow. So I had to say that. But yeah, we don't we don't have a regular overview effect, to get back to your question. And it would be another one to get going. It's just like what other things that have taken over, my time.
No, life is life, and I totally
Life is
get
life,
it.
and that's it. Yeah, this program this year, like having a full-time job and doing a academic program, I've never done before. You know, I was always a full-time student when I was a student, so this year has been one of the most full and busy of my life. So the program is just coming to an end, and I am thinking, like, what are some of the things I want to fill in those spaces with? So this is great, well timed.
Cool. All right. Any other questions out there?
Yes,
I have
Steph.
one. Hi. I really enjoy the breath exercises that were built into TRIPP, where it was aware of one's breathing during the meditation and kind of responded to it. And I was wondering, are you planning on doing any other kind of biofeedbacky kind of experimentation with TRIPP itself?
We've done some, and even with a few people who are talking about wearables that would, you know, kind of even give us some more, possibilities. But the truth is, like, we have only so many ways we can innovate, and AI has just taken over like so much of what our programmers have been working on. So I would say it's absolutely on the roadmap to do more stuff like that. We actually have some really neat patents that TRIPP got about how to use even just the existing, you know, technology in the headset to measure heart rate and you know, some other stuff. So we wanted to start. There is a few other things, you know, like, have you used the part of the app where it's like breathing to control these rocks? You kind of have the force.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So like, we have some other things like that we've kind of got in beta, but I don't know, you know, what the timeline looks like. But it's one of those things we love playing with when we have the time, because we know people love that stuff. Like, that interactivity is powerful. So yeah, great question.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Yeah. Jeremy, you and I both have spent a lot of time working on community. What are your tips? Because I know many people are trying to find a community. Again, you know, different communities and things, but also build communities, especially after the closure of AltSpace. What's your tips and advice for really creating a solid community?
So I think the key is you need to really, number one, know who your community is, like really be able to define it. You've done that very clearly here with educators. It's in the name, you know what you're getting when you get here. But, you know, so you figure that out. We're about playing Dungeons and Dragons together. We're about, you know, people who are writing novels. Whatever your community is, you really need to be clear on that. And then I think the way that I have seen it for, you know, when I was a minister leading a congregation in real life, when I was a minister leading EvolVR here in VR, is people come to community because they want to do two things: meet people they can talk to about what matters in their life, and do things that are kind of touching on the values of their life. And so I thought of our events as, you know, I wanted to have, at least to begin with, one event every day of the week that someone could come who cared about mental health and meditation and live that value with us. And so that was usually do a meditation event. Sometimes it would be some other mental health activity. Like, I think dancing to a DJ is a mental health activity. And there'd always be a social component. It's not like, when the meditation's done, get the hell out of here. It's like, when the meditation's done, now we're ready to really talk and connect. And people would stay in EvolVR events for quite a long time after the quote unquote event was over. And so I think, you know, your goal at first is, you know, one event every day of the week that people can come to, touch on their values a little bit, and talk to some people. And then you just want to slowly grow that. Can you do 2 events every day of the week? Can you do 3 events every day of the week? You just give more touchstones to live that value. And you want to have a diverse set of those, right? It's not like everything's a book group. It's like you have 25 different kinds of events led by different. One of the things that was so great about EvolVR and its, you know, high point was we had so many session leaders who had really different backgrounds, and people could find all these different entry points that fit them. You know, like, if Kiyoki wasn't right for you, Rachel was. If Rachel wasn't right for you, Ryan was. Most of them worked for them, but it meant that there was just so many different entry points. So I think, you know, something like that, you know, create, you know who you are, and create space for people to live that thing that you think you are.
I fully agree. That was one of the things I really liked about the EvolVR group, is that if I had a certain feeling, I know it's like, oh, I just need to go to Ryan's session, or I need to go to Kristen's session, because this is what's coming up for me. So I totally agree. All right, I think we have time for one more question.
Still got Edward. I think Edward's got one.
Okay. Well, can
You're
you hear
good
me?
to go.
Yeah, we got you.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, damn! I'm trying to get this thing. Oh yeah, I was wondering, I use the TRIPP almost every day now because I love that app and
So
love
glad to hear it.
putting the heads, yeah, like that. And I think I've used it most of every session in there that they had. But I also
Wow.
use another app on my phone called the Muse app, and they have a
Uh-huh.
biofeedback device,
Yes.
which I plug in, and they check your heart rate, your emotional level, and how clear your mind is. And I was just wondering, since TRIPP also has an app on the phone, is it possible to use biofeedback with the TRIPP app?
There's no connection right now. Like I said
Okay.
earlier to Steph's question, there definitely has been. We've looked into that exact use case. It's something that we've talked
Okay.
about. It's hard. It's like, one of the things I've learned by joining TRIPP is like you have way more resources than we used to, but it's still a limited amount, and you just got to be really smart about where you put them. And we've just decided wearables, like number one, Muse owns that space. Like
Yeah.
they are the first, second, and third name you think of. And so it's like, it's hard to break into that space. One of the things that both EvolVR and TRIPP have going for us is first mover in VR, and that is really useful. And we'd be like 20th mover in wellness wearables. And it's hard to break into, make it make sense,
Okay.
So I'd
Thank
stick
you.
with the Muse one for that for now. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. I am.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one I've been using every day, just like with TRIPP. Muse and TRIPP, they like
I love it.
back to each other. I love
That's
it.
a great
I
combo.
love it a lot.
Absolutely. Very powerful combo. It's great, Edward.
Yeah.
Love
And it
hearing
gets
that.
me very peaceful. I feel very peaceful and relaxed after using those things. It's there's nothing like it.
That's great. I mean, that is the hope, right? Like that's what we're going for. So that's really wonderful to hear.
Thanks, Edward.
You're welcome.
Well, Jeremy, it's been such a wonderful time to chat with you. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about before we close our session out?
No, it's been really fun, little walk down memory lane. So thank you. And really love the questions from you, Rachel, and from the audience. Really just has me thinking about a bunch of new things. So always great to dip back into community and new community here in VR. So thanks for the invite.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I'm honored to have you here and to have you guide me through so much of my experience here at VR. And I'm looking forward to you getting back in more active after you finish with your studies. And we're all going to be deeply excited to see how that unfolds for you in VR. So
I'll
again,
just say,
thank you, everybody. Go ahead.
I have to share that, that it was already mentioned earlier, but I'll just never forget, we're working to get you up with your, we're going to have Rachel as this giant hologram doing yoga. And it was one of those things Laurel was talking about, we try to push stuff and it was like, there's no way this is going to work. We got this green screen thing going on and Rachel's in Roathon right at the time. There were so many moving parts and then boom, it happened. And I will never forget that moment of Rachel is right now a giant hologram leading yoga in VR. And it's just one of those top 10 aha, not even gasp. This is so freaking cool, So,
it is.
Yeah. That was awesome.
It was beautiful. I've always wanted to be tall my entire life, so it was wonderful.
You were giant.
I was 50 feet tall. It was awesome.
Yes.
And we're trying to bring that
amazing.
back here and Engage, and I'm hoping as early as next week. So
the first place I ever saw it was Engage. They brought me in here and showed me that green screen feature here before I'd seen it anywhere else. So yeah.
Oh,
absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks. Well, I hope to see you guys back next month, and I will most likely be here every week. So if you ever have any questions, please feel free to hit me up here on Discord or here in the chat. I'm always here to talk and to kind of explore VR and what we're doing in the wellness community. It's, like I said, it truly has me engaged.
Hello.
Yay, nicely played. I want to thank you, Rachel, and also Jeremy. I'm behind you, Jeremy. Just you're okay.
Okay.
At our news desk here, I want to thank you so much for being here and being a part. You're part of the you're part of the Educators in VR family. So we always love having you and your dad around, and we love producing his events when we can. We love it. Now the first Wednesday of the month is when we have this edition, the XR News Med Health with Rachel D. And the next guest that is coming is Dr. Jane Harrington. You want to talk about her for a moment, Rachel, please?
Oh, yeah, she's a super interesting woman. We've had lots of talks. She is creating a microbiology app for children so that they can learn microbiology in the VR element. It is so creative and so engaging. I wish stuff like this was around when I was in school, and I cannot wait for her to share it with you guys. It's in beta mode right now, but it's fixing to get released anytime now. So if you know any kids that would like to give it a try, she's looking for some crashers.
Crashers?
That's what I like to call the little kids, call them crashing and breaking. They just want to be, they want to have fun with it.
Oh,
and
we
so
need to hook her up with our wrecking crew. We have adult baby crashers. No,
There you go.
that's not right.
I know what you meant.
We have adults who act like children. We love it. We do that on purpose. So, yay, let's get the wrecking crew set up with her. Nice. That's exciting. So look forward to that. So that will be in 1 month. We have Dr. Jane Harrington will be of Med Micromaps, and she's amazing. So she'll be here with Rachel. So look forward to that. Now we have also coming up next week, we have our XR News show. We've got a special guest coming, but in the fourth week, it'll be the 25th, will be Dr. Angelina Dayton, who's now Dr. Angelina Reinhardt. The VR lady will be here with Diane McClellan. Both of them are working with Girls Team Institute now, and they have been doing amazing pioneering work with not only Girls Team Institute and all the work of their startup weekend and hackathon, and really helping with emerging technology, AI and XR, et cetera, to help these young women in STEAM to really step forward and have amazing careers. And Dr. Angelina Dayton, we're hoping, will also be talking about some of the work that she's doing with Indigenous tribes to catalog their heritage objects and their people, to preserve the language and the culture and the stories, which are all combined with the education that Girls Team Institute is involved with. So get ready for that coming up. And then our XR News Innovation with Chris Mattson, Maxwell McGee, and Dr. Tom Furness will be on the 3rd week. So we have lots coming. You can find out all of that information on all of our social media channels. LinkedIn, Facebook, our YouTube. You can find the video of this in a day or two. It's going to be up on our YouTube channel, and where we have all of our other stuff is sitting on there. And I want to also really thank all of our sponsors and all of the amazing work and support that they do to make sure that we survive every time on here. We'd love to get TRIPP and EvolVR involved so as well. But thank you all. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, Rachel. Yay! And now we have the great closing with Dance with Trees.
We did a thing!
Yay!
Yes, we did.